What's up, gamers? Welcome to my kind of more well-lit room. Literally, I just flipped the light switch over there. This light is like directly overhead though, so actually this might not be doing me any favors. Most of it's censored though, so I don't even know why I would care. You know, anywhere where there's gonna be unflattering shadows are right here where the big ass sensor bar is. And also, whenever I talk about the sensor bar, I'm always like, it's this massive. But like, literally in the editor, I'm always like, oh, keep it to like a little bit wider than my shoulders, I think. So it should be like this big, right? Enough to cover my head. Imagine that's exactly right. Like my hands come out to exactly where the edges of it are. Oh, I didn't even say welcome to Articulate, the podcast where I'm anything but. I definitely remembered the intro there. I don't really know what to talk about. I was gonna do this. I don't know if that's good for lighting. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I was gonna talk about being sad and depressed and whatever. Even though that's lame as hell, because I'm always sad and I'm always depressed. So like, what the heck in frick? It's like when people are like, how are you? And you're like, good, how are you? And they're like, good. That means absolutely nothing, dude. Like, there's almost no point to that interaction. But we might as well do it anyway. So yeah, epic depression moments. Usually I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna live. I think I might be able to get through this just by like, I don't know, pretending. No, not pretending. That's actually messed up. But I've never really been like, I should go to therapy and become medicated or whatever. But lately, I'm like, are normal people normal? Because what's happening now, I'm kind of now like, this is definitely a discrepancy in how humans are supposed to function. Because the other day, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I wake up and I don't really want to be alive anymore. Not literally like I don't want to be alive, but it's sort of a vibe. You know, maybe if you also are super depressed, you know what I'm talking about. But the other day, I quite literally did not want to do anything. Like, it was even more drastic than it usually is. I set all this up. I put this little lap desk thing here, and then I set up my computer, and I was gonna edit, because I was like, I do not want to edit, but I have to. I watched that Kai Cenat Hot Ones episode, and he said slow motion is better than no motion. And I was like, hey, yo, how come every time someone puts something that I already know into slightly different words, I'm like, that is true and factual. That is really inspiring. So yeah, Kai Cenat said that, and I'm like, that is true. I need to become productive. So I was like, I must edit. I set everything up, and I'm like, what is even the point? This is the most difficult thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I still have the whole rest of the thing to edit. Even though when I first started, I was having fun editing, and I was doing everything. I was like, let's freaking go. What was different then? I think a big factor might possibly be that I'm recording this at 1:15 a.m. Like, if I could just go to sleep and then wake up early, that might fix a majority of my problems. But also, maybe I've been like holding on to the video for too long. That always happens to me. Whenever I start something, I'm super excited. I'm like, let's freaking go. I'm like placing the building blocks. This happens so much with Dreams games. Dreams is a PS4 game engine thing. I've started calling it a creation engine for various video essays that I'll never actually make. But in my brain, I've been calling it that. It's a pretty powerful thing, pretty crazy. I'm going to start doing VFX with it. Maybe, possibly, hopefully. I mean, I have to do stuff eventually, right? I can't just be like, what's up, gamers, for the rest of my life, you know? I can't just sometimes make gaming videos and then do this podcast for the rest of my life. Although maybe I could. Maybe it would catch on. Actually, I couldn't. That would not be fulfilling in the slightest, but what the hell am I even talking about? Yes, that is a recurring theme within lots of Dreams games that I make. I start it and I start building mechanics, and it's super, super cool. Literally, I spent days. I was like sitting down every day. I would wake up and be excited and sit down and be like, oh, I need to fix this problem. I need to do this thing. I need to do this. For this one game, I made a bow and arrow mechanic because I was like, this is the simplest of the ideas that I have, because the rest of the ideas are like AAA games that I can't make by myself. So I make this little puzzle game with a bow and arrow, and turns out bow and arrow, not a simple mechanic in the slightest. So that was really quite frustrating. Maybe I'll insert a little screenshot of a lot of the logic. It's crazy, dude, because there's 8 arrows that are all filled with their own logic, and they have to like teleport to where they've been hit, and like detecting angles and shit. I don't know. It is just the most complicated thing I've ever made in Dreams. And then one day I'm just like, this is too much, dude. I can't possibly make this game, even though I spent all that time doing the mechanics and stuff. And that's basically how every single other Dreams game has gone. I have this massive idea, and I'm like, okay, let's start building this. And then I actually build out the mechanics and various other things pretty well, like a lot. And then it starts resembling a game too much. And then it's too, I don't know, it's too difficult. I think maybe I've got a Gen Z brain that does not work. I didn't really have hobbies as a small child. I only really had video games. And school wasn't difficult for me. So the way my brain works and like the reward system in my brain kind of just doesn't work actually. Like delayed gratification isn't really a thing for me. No, it is. I just mean like, I don't know, dude, I'm messed up in the head. TikTok did not solve any of those problems. And I have no talent or skills and it's devastating. That's one of the notes I have in this little podcast thing. I was like, I'm going to talk about being depressed, but also I have these little notes in here from last week. So maybe talk about that or maybe not. I don't know. And I don't know why I'm crouching. I always crouch. I always feel the need to crouch. I've actually been hearing noises from upstairs and I'm like, maybe I should crouch so I'm farther away and no one can hear me. But you know what, dude? Sound doesn't travel that far. So do I abandon everything I was just talking about? No, because there's notes here and I will come back to this. Unless it's been 11 minutes. We can keep talking. I don't remember if I ever finished any of the dreams things I just said, but it's all very difficult. I always start and then give up, and that's kind of been the same for everything. Even, and this is really gross, I'm just gonna say this, but like literally brushing my teeth. I kind of didn't brush my teeth as a kid, which is weird because I still have all of my teeth. So maybe I did kind of. I don't know. I really don't. I also don't really remember having having a gross mouth, like it tastes gross, or having my teeth feel weird, which is definitely something that happens now. And I'm like, dang it, I need to brush my teeth. And then I lay here in bed and don't do anything. That was the gross thing I was going to say. I was going to say that I'm not good at brushing my teeth. But yes, the other day, this one thing that I started saying like 5 minutes ago, the other day, I said all this stuff. I tried to edit. I was like, there's no point. This is nothing. I don't know. I don't even really necessarily know how to describe it, but depression as I know it, maybe it's not depression. Maybe I'm deficient in various vitamins. Depression as I know it is sort of like some days you wake up and it's just so much harder to find interest in things and it's just harder to like be happy and you just like feel bad about everything. I just like lay here and look at Instagram for 5 hours and I'm like, this sucks, dude. I need to do something else. Then I try to do something else and I'm like, I just feel empty or whatever. And I try to do this and I try to play video games. I think I've ever done this before. Kind of, almost. Usually I at least make an effort to kind of have fun, but I turned on my PlayStation and I was like, let's play a video game. I like video games. And I sat down and I scrolled through the homepage for like 5 seconds and then I was like, this sucks, I don't want to play video games. And I didn't even really want to just bed rot, even though I think that's what I did. I think I laid down, watched YouTube and fell asleep. That's another thing. Actually, I don't know why I did that. Like at first, I mean, I just made fun of it, but like, why did I put my finger up in the first place? Actually, this is why it might actually just be various vitamin deficiencies. Every time I'm depressed, I can like sleep all day. Low key. I was kind of trying not to say that because it has infiltrated my vocabulary, but I'm gonna just keep saying low key, you know? It's been 15 minutes. I will talk about that other thing next week, but let's continue on this. Yeah, that's a cool coping mechanism maybe, that I learned quite a while ago. Back in the day, but I would just sleep forever, you know? That was like at the peak of depression and not wanting to be alive anymore. I was like, yo, sleeping? I don't have to deal with being alive and like living life and whatever. So I would just do that. I would sleep all day, like literally all day. I remember there was one point in time, hang on, let me try not to give away too much lore, where something happened and I was like, my life sucks. This is horrible. And so I laid on the floor and I slept for like, honestly, kind of several days straight, which sounds absolutely horrible when I say it out loud. I'm like, holy shit, that's like not okay. Yeah, because I didn't want to be alive. I was laying on the floor. This is maybe super depressing. Do I have to put a trigger warning on this video as well? Mayhaps, but also maybe not. I don't know. If I just make it known that I'm a very depressing person to be around, then maybe my audience will learn that, or my community or whatever, which is also a little theory thing I'm working on. If you're from the future, you know, which you probably are, unless this video gets 10 views, in which case, hello, 8 or 7 other people. Yeah, so I was laying on the floor. I was like, life sucks. I'm gonna go to sleep. And then I slept. And then I think occasionally I would wake up to drink water. I don't even remember. That whole stretch of time is a blur. Like before and after, I was sleeping on the floor for several days. Yeah, I really just hated everything. I was like, I'm not even tired, but I'm just gonna lay here because what else is there to do? And then eventually I would just fall asleep, which is really messed up. And I keep saying things out loud and I keep thinking things in my head and I'm like, this is actually messed up, dude. Do not feel bad for me. Please, for the love of God. I'm not over here trying to like romanticize depression and be like, oh, feel bad for me. I'm messed up in the head or whatever. I don't know. I'm like, maybe let's end on a happy thing, but then I remember that literally I came on here to be like, I'm actually kind of depressed recently and I don't want to make videos. That is something that's actually terrifying to me. I think this idea popped in my head the other day and I kind of just tried to switch topics to brain rot or something, I don't know. But I was thinking like editing, I don't know if I even like editing that much. So do I even want to like be a YouTuber anymore? If I lost interest in YouTube, I would actually be lost like as a person. As I mentioned before, I do not have any hobbies or anything. I'm looking at my guitar over there that I do not know how to play. I earlier talked about making games in Dreams PS4, and I do not know how to make games, and I never played any sports. I don't, like, the only thing really I have is video games and, like, watching YouTube, I guess. I don't know. And I tried to write a book when I was 16, and I still write on it occasionally, but it's not even, like, I don't even know if I like it anymore. I'm, like, a shell of a person at the moment, which sounds really messed up, and I'm saying all these things, and it seems very depressing, very sort of hopeless. I don't know, there was definitely a specific word I was just thinking of, but it's eluded me for the moment. I don't know what I was gonna say. Let's end on a happy note. As I said before, something happy? Oh, legitimately, this might be something happy. I was just thinking like, oh, maybe this is actually not happy because I've been saying, what if I don't like YouTube? But low-key, I've been really wanting to try streaming, and for some strange reason I've been really wanting to play 7 Days to Die. It's just been downloaded on my computer. I played it briefly, like a few times with real people, but I haven't really played it since. That was like several years ago. So it's just been sitting there, and I'm like, that game was pretty fun. I gotta like play a survival game or something. So I've been really wanting to, did I already say I've been really wanting to try streaming? I'm gonna stream that game. That's what this is about. And that might be a new fun venture that I can quit several months from now. Maybe 2.5 years from now. Actually, if it goes the same way this YouTube thing is going, I'm not gonna quit. That's actually kind of sad. And especially, watch this, guys. I'm about to create a paradox for myself, so I have to become a massive YouTuber. But if I become a massive YouTuber, maybe this is hitting kind of hard. Maybe this is sad. My voice was just being weird. I'm not like sad or anything. Maybe people from the distant future are like, oh wow, look at Juncture being sad, thinking like, oh, this is when he might have quit. What would have been it have? Okay, I don't like and subscribe, I guess. That's not the thing I say at the end. What the hell? I was like, oh, I just stuttered a bunch and then I can cut it off and it'll be really funny. And then I said like and subscribe, I guess. What the fuck? That's not what I say. Like, I literally say leave a comment, I suppose.